Welcome to WOW, the Woman of the Week podcast. This episode was made possible by a sponsorship from Syneos Health. For more information, visit syneoshealth.com. In this episode, Taryn Grome, co-founder and editor-in-chief at Pharma Voice, meets with Kate Haviland, Chief Operating Officer, Blueprint Medicines.
Kate, welcome to the WOW podcast program.
Thank you so much, Taryn. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy to see you and to connect with you again. Do me a favor, tell us a little bit about your journey, which has led to your current role of Chief Operating Officer.
You know, I have always loved science. I loved science in school when I was a young kid, and it's something that I continued to kind of engage in throughout both my kind of schooling time, but also I actually had two uncles, one who was a medical geneticist and one who was a hematologist. And both of them I was close to, and both really inspired me to think about the impact the science could have on people. And so it was both I guess a natural interest as well as an influence from family members that got me to start pursuing a career in science as I went into college. And one of the things I think was really interesting for me is I was pursuing a degree in biochemistry, and I started to really put to test my opportunity to work in sophisticated labs and do really interesting experiments in a scientific research type of a format that I hadn't had the opportunity to do before. And one of the things I found out about myself is that although I love science, I am not a good scientist. So that was those are things that sometimes it's as important to figure out what you're not good at as what you are good at. And I think that to me led me to actually start to double major in economics as well as biochemistry, and to think about how to find a career option for myself that incorporated my love of science and interest in medicine and interest in having an impact on people, but that leveraged more of what I was good at, which is more of, I think, that business side of science. And so I found that as a potential path kind of early on, I'd say, in my collegiate career. And then, fast forward, I started working in consulting in the life sciences. I went back and got my master's in business administration, continued to work on what I'd say is more of the business side of science and medicine. And I have to say that, as I worked at different companies and had an opportunity to see different types of organizations, when I found Blueprint, it is the company that I had always wanted to be a part of.
Wow.
And so that has been something that has, I've now been at Blueprint almost 6 years, and it really has been just a tremendous opportunity for me in my career. And it's for a number of reasons. One is Blueprint's discovery engine. We have this innovative discovery engine that is looking to have precise targeted therapies against the genetic drivers of cancer to have a tremendous impact on patients. And that engine has enabled us to develop 9 different, both approved and now investigational therapeutics, and put them into the clinic in the 10 years since we've been founded. And that type of productivity and that type of opportunity is just something that you don't see very often. And it's enabled us to build a strong portfolio, which has given us the options and the strategic alternatives to become what I think is the world-leading independent precision medicine company that Blueprint Medicines is today.
That's amazing. We'll delve into that precision medicine piece in just a bit. But, as we noted in your Pharma Voice 100 profile this year, and congratulations again, you're one of, if not the youngest person on the executive leadership team of Blueprint Medicine. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what that means for you, but I also want to delve into, unpack what you just said a few minutes ago about this whole business side of medicine. And sometimes that gets overlooked, the importance of what that means operationally for an organization. Certainly we need the scientists to drive the science, but we also need the folks behind the scenes to make sure that all that science is well funded. So
That's
kudos to you for figuring out what that path was and being able to explore it so successfully. Obviously, you sit in the C-suite, and some might consider you to be on the young side. How does that work for you? Do you feel intimidated at all, or have you figured it out, especially as a woman?
Yeah, I think, I think we're always trying to figure things out, but I don't feel intimidated because I feel like I have the support of my colleagues. I have the support and mentorship of my boss, who's Jeff Albers, our CEO of the company. And we have a culture and environment here at Blueprint of taking risks. And I have to say that that's something that I've done in my professional career. I've taken risks to pursue professional opportunities, both in different types of companies that I've chosen to work for, and also the work that I've raised my hand to do. And I think that's really important. And I think sometimes, sometimes particularly women can limit their own opportunities before anyone else has an opportunity to limit it for them by, not taking that risk, not taking that jump or that leap, and realizing you don't have to be perfect. That we're a team, and we will celebrate our successes together, and we will approach our challenges together. And I think that is it's a combination of culture, and I think support that I have been very lucky to have here in my time at Blueprint.
Yeah, Kate, I have to apologize. I don't think intimidated was the right word to use there. So I want to take that back and say, because obviously you're very proficient. You are a seasoned professional and you have got a lot of chops. And so I don't think intimidated was, I shouldn't have used that word. So let's talk about some of those risks that you've taken in your career that helped jumpstart you or got you to take some of those big leaps. Yeah.
Absolutely. I one that really sticks out to me I was working at Genzyme, and I really loved my job at Genzyme, and I had gotten to know a company, a small biotech company called PTC Therapeutics, through my work at Genzyme in business development. And they had the CEO of PTC called me and said that they were looking to continue to push their programs forward, and they're having some success, and they really wanted to get someone with some rare disease experience to come and join. And so he asked me to come down and talk to the team, and that led to an opportunity for me to come work for him in kind of an undefined role and be one of the first kind of non-scientists at the company, and to kind of think about what we needed to do to move these rare disease programs forward and to also build a great company. And at the time, I just closed and bought my first apartment in Boston with my partner of many years. And so, but this was just a job that I was incredibly excited about the innovative science. I was incredibly excited about doing something really entrepreneurial, although undefined. And so we basically moved half of our belongings, and my partner, he took half and moved into our apartment in Boston, and I took half and I moved down to New York to be able to work at PTC that was located in New Jersey. I was not anticipating this. I wasn't expecting it, but I took the leap of faith to take that role. And it was a transformative change for me. I spent 6 years at PTC. I got to see all aspects of the business. I took leadership roles in areas that I had never had any experience in before, and I had the support and confidence of my team and Stu Peltz in particular to kind of to allow me to do that. And it really changed my perspective and gave me a broad set of experiences, across all aspects of biotech that changed, what I would think of as my career trajectory.
That's amazing. So when you were at Genzyme, did you get a chance to work with Henry Termier as well?
I did. I had a little bit of opportunity to interact with Henry. Again, I was in the corporate development group, which focuses on business development types of licensing and mergers and transactions. And so I had some opportunity to be in the same rooms with Henry. I was still fairly junior in my career, but definitely got to feel his leadership and his presence.
And between that and with Stu, as you said, that's quite the pedigree. That's and in that rare disease space, that's rarefied air. Wonderful. And kudos to you again for taking that leap. Not everybody would have been so brave to say, all right, honey, you take that half, I'm taking this half, and I'll see you, you know?
Yeah, we'll see you on the weekends. It was just it was an opportunity that I was really excited about, and I felt like I had the opportunity to come and do things that I'd never done, and the endorsement to kind of push the boundaries. And I think that was something that in a growing organization like PTC was just very exciting.
That is exciting. Well, congratulations to you. And
Thank
let's
you.
talk about how all that sort of led. Now, you touched on it a little bit about what Blueprint is doing in terms of the exciting science that's happening there. Talk to me about that precision medicine blueprint, if you will, that's created this thriving pipeline.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, the way I think about this is that cancer at its most fundamental level is a genetic disease. And the advances that have been made recently in the last 10, 15 years in our understanding of the biology of cancer, our ability to detect the genetic drivers of cancer, really opened up an incredible opportunity for us at Blueprint Medicines to precisely target the root causes of cancer with the goal of having just a transformative impact on patients. And we have already made history at Blueprint doing just that. We are the first company that has brought 2 internally discovered medicines from an idea in the lab to FDA approval in the first 10 years of our existence. And I'm so proud of that. And what's even more exciting is that we are just getting started. Cancer is not a static condition, it's a dynamic process. And the traditional limitations of precision therapy, such as preventing treatment resistance that often inevitably occurs, or overcoming resistance that develops over time, so that we can have the opportunity to enable prolonged benefits for patients, is something that we are very, very much focused on. And we're excited that the programs that we're bringing in the clinic today, including our programs targeted at EGFR-driven non-small cell lung cancer, as well as our program targeted at CDK2 cancers that you find across a number of different types of solid tumors, including ovarian cancer, breast cancer, are the next wave of innovation for us to be able to move with the cancer and make sure that we're addressing that resistance as it occurs. And really, Blueprint is just uniquely positioned to respond to cancer as it evolves because of the agility of our research platform, our ability to respond quickly, and the work we do to predict where cancer will go next. And I think that platform and those scientific insights have allowed us to bring medicines to patients now globally in both our approved products in Ayvakit and Gavretto, and are now fueling this next generation of programs as we show that we can be as agile as cancer can be.
That's amazing. And you outlined a couple of those key secrets to your success. Talk to me a little bit more about the platform, because I'm really interested in that and how that can help you predict where as you said, where cancer goes next, because you're doing something that other companies aren't doing, and you're doing it very well.
We have computational capabilities and analytical capabilities and advanced analytics, things like AI, machine learning, that we bring to bear, and the expertise we have in the types of cancers that we focus on, and particularly in kinases at this point in time, where we can understand how a kinase is going to work, and we can predict how it may choose to develop resistance. And we can do that both computationally, so we can model that kind of synthetically, if you will. But we also can push for those resistance clones to be developed in our labs. And so that enables us to try to stay one step ahead of the cancer. And our drug Gavretto, which is approved in the US for RET-driven non-small cell lung cancer, as well as RET-driven thyroid cancer, is a great example of that. In that what we did was we designed that drug to not only target the initiating mutation or fusion in RET, but also to address to put pressure where we believe the kinase will most likely develop resistance. So it's almost like having a first and second generation drug combined into one. And the idea is that if we can do that, we can then really make sure that patients have an opportunity to benefit from the drug for a much longer period of time by not allowing the cancer to escape and to develop resistance.
Fascinating. It's really that focus on the kinase that's really giving you all that edge. Is that sort of?
That's right. Our platform, our internal platform, is focused on kinases. It's a proprietary platform. It's both the kind of the computational intelligence I was just talking about, as well as our library, where we have very diverse chemical library that covers the entire kinome. And we've annotated that so that we know if we have a target we're looking at, and we know what we want to, what part of the genetic driver we want to address, we can go into that library and very quickly see where we have chemical matter that may do that. And what that has done is allowed us to move more quickly than any traditional drug discovery and development timelines. So for Ayvakit, we brought that drug from our first in human studies to its first approval in 4 years. And for Gavretto, we did the first in human to its first approval in 3.5 years. I mean, this is just an incredible efficiency. And that has a lot to do with both our discovery engine and the ability to leverage that library very quickly to find and design these types of drugs, as well as when you're targeting the genetic driver of disease, you see, what we see in cancer is that the cancer responds quickly. We see responses, we see tumor shrinkage, we see patients feeling better quickly. And that allows us to then move the development very, very fast. And so that's why we've been able to kind of make history as a company, is both the design and the precise targeted nature of our compounds, as well as the opportunity to really transformationally impact the disease by hitting the genetic driver.
It's amazing. And I'm assuming that this is all cancer agnostic, that it's not just for liver cancer or thyroid cancer, but you can use this approach for any type of cancer, really, because cancer's now become so many individual types of diseases in the last 5 or 6 years are being identified that way. So it really gives you a broad purview, I would think.
Yeah, that's an incredibly important point. And it's, cancer is really being redefined by not what tissue it sits in, to your point, liver, breast, or whether it's a blood cancer. It's really about what is the genetic driver of the cancer. Right. And it's being defined that way. And I think our drug Ayvakit is such a great example of that, where it is approved in a solid tumor, which is a rare form of GI stromal tumors, is driven by a mutation in PDGFR alpha. A little bit of alphabet soup there, but it's a rare kind of GIST, as we call it, and that's a solid tumor. And we now got approval this year in a rare blood cancer called advanced systemic mastocytosis. So the two cancers could not be more different from each other, but yet the commonality between them is their genetic driver, which our drug Ayvakit targets potently. And that's where you see this kind of evolution in thinking about how to address cancer, which is by its genetic driver more so than where it's located in your body.
Amazing. You touched on another one of your drugs, which is Gavretto, for the treatment of multiple cancers. And you have a global collaboration with Roche to develop and commercialize this drug. What are some of those strategic objectives, and why a collaboration for this one?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think, we had really 3 key strategic objectives when we thought about partnering and collaborating with Gavretto. Our first and most important objective was to make sure that we accelerated our ability to bring Gavretto to patients around the world. Gavretto is a drug that targets the what is called RET, and patients, different types of patients have RET-driven cancer, but it's predominantly a driver in non-small cell lung cancer and also in thyroid cancer. And Gavretto has a tremendous impact that we've shown in our clinical trials on patients with non-small cell lung cancer and thyroid cancer. And so we felt that we really needed to look for a partner who could help us get this important drug, to patients around the world. And so we talked to many different potential partners, and really Roche's global reach, combined with their expertise in personalized health and their portfolio of targeted therapies, made them the perfect partner to help reach every patient that could possibly benefit from Gavretto. I think our second objective was to make sure that we at Blueprint retain some meaningful rights. We're a new company, we're 10 years old, and we're developing our capabilities to bring our medicines to patients globally. And so we wanted to continue to build our commercial expertise and our precision medicine capabilities to enable us to continue to evolve as a company as we looked forward towards being able to bring more medicines to patients globally as we get them approved here in the US, in Europe, and outside. And so that was an important aspect to us, is to have a meaningful role in that. And then I think our third objective was to enhance our flexibility. And that's both from the perspective of the bandwidth of our team and where we want to focus our time, as well as our financial flexibility. And quite literally, almost immediately after doing this collaboration, the bandwidth for our team to focus on the rare blood disorder we just talked about, our systemic mastocytosis program, as well as to accelerate the efforts within our additional pipeline programs. So those programs I was talking to you about a little bit more before that are really targeting the evolution of cancer. So our EGFR program, our CDK2 program, we're able to accelerate all of those programs by allowing our team the time to focus there, as well as giving ourselves that financial independence through the financial terms of the agreement. And so it continues to be a terrific collaboration for us. It met those three key objectives. You asked, why did we think about partnering Gavretto? We knew that the Gavretto opportunity was a more discrete opportunity in a really important drug that has a tremendous impact on patients, but identifying patients and making sure that they are diagnosed as RET-driven non-small cell lung cancer or RET-driven thyroid cancer is a key part of that value chain. And we knew that was going to be an effort that having a partner like Roche who can do that globally, who had that personalized health expertise in terms of patient identification. They have Foundation Medicine in their family of companies. They have Flatiron Therapeutics in their family of companies. Really allowed us to leverage that expertise to ensure that we get Gavretto to any patient who could potentially benefit. And so it made sense for us to partner with them on Gavretto while we focused on the most important near-term value driver for Blueprint, which is the systemic mastocytosis program.
Yeah, all of that sounds, like you said, makes so much sense. And what a sound strategy. And let's face it, Roche is such a great partner, as you said. So kudos again to all of you and being able to deliver on that objective to get the drug to patients around the world. So important. So congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, we are so pleased to partner with Roche, and as it's been a tremendous collaboration as we continue to bring Gavretto to patients.
And as you said, what a great way to learn from one of the giants in the industry. Yes. From some of the things that as you said, you're still trying to build as a young company. So it's a great mentor company, I would think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Before we delve into a little bit of some more career highlights and things, let's turn to your leadership philosophies. How would you describe yourself as a leader? And then we're going to delve into how you build high-performing teams.
Absolutely. So, gosh, it's such a hard question. I think when I think about leadership, what is really important for me is to focus on creating a shared vision of what we are all working towards, what we're trying to achieve, and to really work to bring everyone along on that vision and in pursuit of that vision. As I sit here today, I just can see so clearly the future opportunities that we have at Blueprint to really change the lives of people who are impacted by a devastating diagnosis of cancer. And we know if we can change their lives, we can change the lives of everyone they touch. So what we are doing is so important, and it makes coming to work every day filled with purpose and urgency, something that I am just so grateful for. And so I see that very clearly, the opportunity we have as Blueprint. And for me, as a leader, what I need to do is make sure that I share that vision and that the rest of the company and all the individuals who are working hard day in and day out understand that big picture impact that we are having.
You have such a powerful vision that I can just imagine how it emanates through the organization. And that I bet it's not such a hard sell either. Because what you are doing is so, as you said, filled with purpose. And there is an urgent need for so many of these medicines for patients who are waiting. They're just waiting. They need something. So, to that end, as we all know, even as successful as you all have been, drug development is just fraught with failures and disappointments. Yeah. How do you keep your teams motivated and buoyed during those downtimes?
No, absolutely. I mean, I think that is one of the important parts of having such a tremendous portfolio of opportunities at Blueprint. We're able to kind of celebrate successes. We're able to weather the downtimes, and I think importantly, we make sure that we invite patients in regularly to the company. And I mean, we recently just had a patient who had advanced thyroid cancer come in and talk to the team, and he had been fighting his cancer for years and he had run out of options, and his choices were either hospice or to go on our clinical trial for our targeted therapy Gavretto that you and I were just talking about. He had a 3-year-old daughter at the time, and he described that he did not believe he'd be alive to see her start school. And so he enrolled in our trial in 2019, and he is now thriving. His daughter is 6 years old, and he walks her to kindergarten every day.
Oh, Kate, you just gave me chills.
And those are the stories, Taryn. I mean, our innovative new medicine has given him time and high quality time. I mean, he specifically said, I am here living my best life because you are all doing what you are doing. That opportunity for more time to do those small things in life, things like walking your daughter to school, just such small everyday things, that gives all of our lives so much meaning, and that resonates with everybody. And I think that those are the types of things that in those moments where things are not going well, in those moments where we have unexpected results that we didn't anticipate, in those moments where we're having business challenges, just keeping someone like this patient in mind, I think, is what is so important to keeping working hard, overcoming those challenges, finding our way around those issues, and making sure that we continue to drive innovation so that more and more patients can be there for their daughters, for themselves, for their families. They can be sisters and brothers. They can be grandparents and colleagues. And that's what's really important.
That's an amazing story. Thank you for sharing that with us. As a leader, I'd like to know, what is it that you look for in those team members that you can say that's somebody who's got something there? What are those qualities you look for? Because to do what you all do, you need high performing teams. You need people to be
absolutely
really, that are at the top of their game. But it's also that intangible something. What is that you look for?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, we work in such a complex business, and there's so much interdependency between everything we do that the core of Blueprint Medicine is our teams. And we always have people who have important technical know-how, but what I look for is also people who have a learning agility. People who are curious, who want to understand aspects of the business outside of their area of technical know-how or expertise. People who really want to get a sense of that interdependency between everything we do. And I think that learning agility is something that is just so critically important in order to enable us to deal with the complexities and interdependencies of the work that we do. I also think it's very important to have people who can work collaboratively. People who have that ability to integrate diverse perspectives, who can take complex information and bring it together and drive decisions. And that can be difficult to do. And I think that's part of having that broader view of the interdependencies of the business, but be able to bring that information together to make sure we're driving forward on decisions. And then I think lastly, it has to be people who are willing to put the needs of the team before their own. So people who just consistently care about the overall mission and the results we're trying to drive rather than individual results or accomplishments. And I think those are the types of things. And it's, I'm so proud to work with an incredible group of people who we call the Blue Crew, who I see these. Yeah, it's our kind of shorthand for just an incredibly smart, driven, passionate group of people who represent these qualities every day.
Yeah, curious and unselfish and willing to be agile. I think those are great traits. Certainly traits that you embody. So I can imagine that's
Thank
what
you.
you're looking for in the folks that you work with as well. Let me ask you this. You've had probably some terrific mentors along the way, I'm assuming, and hoping that is true.
Yes.
What is some of the best leadership advice you've ever received?
Yes, I mean, I've had the opportunity to have just incredible mentors and supporters. I mean, I think I've mentioned, Jeff Albers, who is our CEO here, has just been a tremendous supporter and mentor of mine. Stu Peltz was as well, and so I've been very, very lucky to have those people who've been part of my career. What I would say in terms of kind of pieces of advice is that I guess two things really stick with me. One is that not making a decision is making a decision, right? So we never have perfect information. There's always going to be ambiguity. So we have to move forward with the best information we have at the time. And in order to do that, it's really important to have a diverse set of perspectives and points of view around any decision. And I think that kind of diversity is incredibly important. It's something that really attracted me to Blueprint, early on in my career, is that focus on diversity and having diverse point of view. And by valuing and integrating the diversity of experience and perspectives, what's also important is that does not mean that everything is a compromise. It means that you've looked at something from every angle you can possibly look at it from, and then the decision is made. So that goes back to that efficient decision making. So you've got to take a decision. You've got to be comfortable with ambiguity. So I think that's the first kind of piece of advice. I think the second thing that has really stuck with me and resonated with me is that you need to build culture consciously. You really have to create an environment of transparency and trust for people to thrive in, to feel like they're contributing, to feel like they're part of that mission. And then you have to invest in the people. It's that opportunity to have a diverse set of people, to make sure you're taking decisions and moving things forward, and to invest in those people, and giving people permission to be their whole selves. I think those are very, very important things. So not making decisions, making a decision, and building culture consciously. I think those are the critical things, at least that has stuck with me and have been really important to how I've thought about my time and efforts at Blueprint.
Well, it sounds like you got the Blue Crew operating optimally, so that is fantastic. It's sad to say this, but even today, you're one of the few women sitting in the C-suite of a biotech or a pharma company. So clearly, you are a role model to others. So, first, what does that mantle responsibility mean to you? And then, second, what are some key pieces of advice you can offer to other women who are looking to climb that corporate ladder?
I think those are great questions, and to your point, I mean, we have work to do, right, to get more women and other underrepresented, minorities into more leadership roles in life sciences. And so I take that responsibility very seriously. In my role, I now have a unique opportunity to encourage, promote, and empower women, as well as other underrepresented minorities, both at Blueprint and also in the greater life sciences industry as a whole. And so, starting with an example from Blueprint, I focus a significant amount of my time on ensuring that we are creating and maintaining a culture that can really work for all members of our Blue Crew. So we are a community, and like society as a whole, our community is represented by people with a variety of views and values and perspectives that are inevitably going to differ. And we have done things that I think are really unique, in that through our equity, diversity, and inclusion committee, we regularly host discussion circles where team members engage with each other on topics, hard topics, things like unconscious bias, social justice, systemic racism. And these conversations can be uncomfortable at times, but it is really amazing to see how these circles have cultivated a capability amongst our Blue Crew community to engage with and learn from each other and to really embrace different points of view. And I've just seen that impact, and it's just something that, again, creating a culture that can work for everybody is just an amazing thing to see. I think external to the company, I've developed a network of very, very impressive female leaders who I leverage to make connections, to help women who are earlier in their career as they look for opportunities. We know that women spend less time building networks and relationships. And so if people don't know who you are, they can't put you on the list for an opportunity, whether that be a leadership opportunity at a company or a board opportunity. And I think about, early on in my career here at Blueprint, in fact, the first year I joined, Jeff Albers, our CEO and my boss, came to me and he said, I really think that you should join this Boardroom Ready program, this Women in Bio Boardroom Ready program. And I want to sponsor you to do it. I'd never heard of it. And I was, it was so wonderful that he brought it to me and he said, you should do this. And he also kind of was saying that he thought I was going to make a great board member and it would kind of, support me in pursuing that. So I did the program. I was in the inaugural class of the Women in Bio Boardroom Ready program. And I'm very pleased to say that I've now sponsored 2 additional women here at Blueprint who've gone through that program. And, we have now a number of female leaders at Blueprint, both in the C-suite as well as in other leadership positions who are members of boards of publicly traded companies or major nonprofits. And we're continuing to kind of amplify that effort throughout the company. And so, kind of building that network, promoting women, finding opportunities for them. And, I've benefited from that, from my mentors, and I want to make sure that I continue to do that for others.
Go, Jeff. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was terrific.
So we look at this dynamic that's happening, and we know women can't do it alone. They need allies such as your boss and mentor, Jeff. And so kudos to him for recognizing the value you could bring and to incite you to go forward and to pursue that. So that's amazing. So congratulations there, and congratulations on the board roles. And I'm familiar with that board readiness program that Bio puts out. It's an amazing program. So for our listeners, they should investigate that as well, because there could be opportunities for other women out there.
I highly recommend it.
We've covered a lot of ground, Kate. You have been such a terrific interview. And I don't know how you can pinpoint this to answer my last question, but I'm going to ask you to try to narrow it down to one accomplishment or a wow moment that either changed the trajectory of your career or has left such a lasting impression on you.
It's so hard to kind of come down to one. I think, something that really left an impression on me and always forever is actually something from my time in when I was at college. And I was considering running for president of my senior class. And I thought about it and I kind of hemmed and hawed, and I had kind of a group of friends and peers who encouraged me to do so. And so I kind of nervously handed in my candidacy form, and I had to go to, of all things, a chemistry lab for 4 hours that afternoon. So I handed in my form kind of shakily and then went into my chemistry lab, and I was coming back out and, had been thinking about the uncomfortableness of putting myself forward. I was the only woman in a group of, I think there were 6 candidates, and all the other 5 candidates were men. And I'm walking through campus back to the dorm where I lived, and I see these signs up everywhere, kind of promoting me as a great candidate for president of my senior class. And it was my group of roommates and friends who, in the 4 hours that I was in my chemistry lab, put these signs together and put them all over campus. And I have to tell you, it was one of the most impactful moments in my entire life. And to me, it shows you that you should believe in yourself, right? You don't have to be perfect. You just have to jump in and give something a try. But that we also need people, all of us need people to support us and to put those proverbial signs up somewhere promoting us, when we're kind of toiling away in our dark lab at some point in time, right? And I think that to me was, regardless of the outcome of that election, was a moment in my life I will never forget.
Well, I would have voted for you for sure. And I have to ask, did you win?
I did win, actually.
Yay.
So that was really exciting too. And I was, very fortunate to serve as senior class president of my university, and I was very excited to do that. But it was just a kind of a moment in time that, again, I don't know if that feeling is something I wish you could bottle and kind of give it to people, right?
I can't thank you enough. This has been a great conversation, and I want to thank you for all the work you're doing on behalf of patients. And I want to wish you and the rest of the Blue crew continued great success. Keep making history out there, Kate. Thank you so much for being part of our WOW podcast program.
Taryn, thank you so much. I look forward to hopefully connecting with you soon. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of WOW, the Woman of the Week podcast. And thanks again to Syneos Health for sponsoring this episode. For more information, visit syneoshealth.com. And don't forget to check out our other WOW podcast episodes at pharmavoice.com/wow. This 2021 program is copyrighted by PharmaLinks, LLC.